Okay, I wanted to just take you through my side bending process, and this is with some Tasmanian Blackwood for a couple of special guitars I'm building. Um, so when I spray this, you'll see the color of this wood start to come alive, which will give you a bit of an impression of what it will look like once we add the French polish to it and finish it later on. So I've marked these so I know where the edge is that I want. This is going to be the top of the showing part of the guitar. This will be the inside of the guitar. This is the upper bout, the lower bout, and I marked the waist where I can see it so I get it in the machine appropriately when we get there. So watch when I spray this. I wet the wood by just spraying it down, and you can start seeing how beautiful that wood starts to look. I like the waist a little bit wet, but look at how pretty that is, hey? It's going to be a beautiful guitar. And then we'll spray both sides. And then I come over here and I'm going to wrap it in some brown paper that I've cut reasonable, to the size of where I'm going. So I lay that in, wrap it in brown paper that can be a little bit absorbent as well. There's no real sheen to this brown paper. It's like brown wrapping paper. If I have a little extra, I just trim it off like this. So we'll trim that off since we don't really need any of that. Get rid of that. And then I'm going to spray the paper a little bit more. Just want to keep the steam going really well on this guitar, on this particular wood. I may not wet rosewood quite as much. Some woods require maybe a little more. Real figured wood, I think I want it to bend as smooth as possible without anything happening. Okay, so I have that. I still can see my marking through the paper where I want it. And then we take and I sandwich it. This is my heating element. I first put this piece of stainless steel down. Kind of know where the waist is on this. So I lay it down accordingly. Bring the edge out to the edge where I want it. I see where my waist is going to go. I have the waist marked on this heating element. This is the side bending heating element. It's very flexible, which is great, and it heats every square inch basically of the wood, which provides beautiful bending because of that. Don't have any part of it lacking in its needed heat and steam. Just how we bend these things. So I have it there. Sometimes I double check to make sure I do have it laid in accurately, or often. I always double, maybe triple, maybe 4 times. I'm going to make sure this is going to bend the right way in the right spot. So I'm always trying to be super careful that we're doing it exactly right, because we're book matching these sides as well. Now I have the waist mark, so I can slide this in, and there I can see where the waist is. So I have that exactly where I want that bend to go. And then if you can see this crank, I put it down just enough. Obviously it can't bend yet, but I just want to hold it in place a little bit as I put these on in a minute. So now I'm going to plug the heating element in, and what I was plugging into is a variable speed control, really. It's a router speed control unit that works well, and I have it attached to a timer, and that's important because when I'm letting it heat and cool and so on, I can do another task, but I don't want to have this always on, or you could burn things up. So the timer is great because it shuts it off appropriately when the time is done, and then I come back usually and unplug it just to be safe. But with this heat, you don't want to be careless because you don't want to burn anything up. All right, so I turn this on to full while I'm preparing it. This is a little bit gappy, so I'll take a clamp sometimes and hold that together. I'll do the same on this side. This needs a little smaller clip for that. Actually, I like to have it where it's heating the wood. Then I use a just a meat thermometer. I'll put this on first. This is my bending. Bending slide. I don't know what you want to call it. You'll see it's held on by the springs. You put one on both sides. And for the upper bout as well. You just hold it in place with these pretty heavy-duty springs. Hold everything in place. And then, just a spring action. All right, and then I put the heat thermometer in the side here, sort of sandwiched so it's against the heating element, and I can see how hot we are. We're already at 121. I'm trying to get it to 220. I put my gloves on because it gets hot. You can, we're already at 170, so you can see how it climbs. I sometimes add a little more time. I want to make sure we're good. So what's happening as this heats up, I'm going to go to about 220. Actually, I start to see the steam coming. And when I start to see the steam coming, generally that means we're about ready. I try to get it to about 220, and we're about there. So I'm going to start, I pull this heat thermometer out just so I have room to work with. And I slowly bring this around. And you can probably, I don't know if you can see the steam coming, but I see a lot of steam coming up, which is good. The heat and steam is really how we're bending this. So I take this around and I get it about to the optimum in terms of tension, and on the very bottom of the lower bout. We do the lower bout first because it's the easier bend. Then I turn this to variable so we don't keep, I don't want the heat to keep climbing and get super hot, because that can cook your wood. It can actually make your wood very brittle if you get too hot. So I try to watch that temperature a lot. And then same thing with the upper bout, get it about at its optimum, and then we slowly work the waist down into the bend. You can listen and you can watch it go. And you can hear some of the rubber of the heating element squeeze down in. But I'm going to just slowly move this all the way down where it matches the waist of the mold that I built for this body shape. And we're almost done. I have it right about there. We're going to hold that. Now we're going to let it set and cool for about an hour. And we've bent our side. Oh, and by the way, I bent one earlier, and that you can see we put it right in the mold here, and it follows my mold pretty well. All right, good.